In this video we're going to look at the drawing tools in Illustrator. They're fairly straightforward. You've got pencil, brush and line tool. They kind of mimic what we have in the world, and then we have the pen tool, which is a little bit more complicated, but with a bit of effort you can get your head around. Okay, so if we just select a tool from the tool palette, go over to our paper and draw like we would in the real world, we can quickly get some lines, and then we can use the picker just to change the colour of those lines quite quickly and keep going. We can do the same with the brush tool, which seems similar, and we can create some kind of straight lines with the line tool. Now you'll notice that with the brush tool we get some curves, but they can be pretty wobbly, if you like. It's quite a sensitive tool, the pencil, and so if you need to do something that's vaguely straight, it's always good to use the line tool. However, with the pencil tool, as with everything in Illustrator, if you click on a line you'll notice that it has paths and anchor points, which means that we can go in and adjust them afterwards. So when we're drawing with a pencil tool we sometimes get a bit kind of hung up on whether the line looks all right at first. Don't worry too much about that. You can always go in and adjust the lines using the direct selection, and if you need to make curves more simple we can go back into the pen tool. You remember we did this last time. Go to the delete anchor point tool and just delete any unwanted anchor points. Okay, so you can draw some basic lines and then move them around and change them so that they're more accurate a bit afterwards using the direct selection and the anchor point tool. Now to increase the stroke of the lines we can just go into the stroke palette, which is on the right here. We can increase it using this little option, and we can also change how it sort of looks in terms of the cap. So this is the end and the corner. So because I've drawn curved lines we don't have any corner junctions, but you can change how they look as well. I'm using these just these options here. So stroke weight is in a palette here and we can just increase that. Okay, so with the brush tool there you'll see we had a texture. So here we have a brush that looks like a paint stroke, and we achieve this by selecting a brush from the brushes palette, which is just the symbol that's in the right there. It looks like a set of brushes in a pot, and we can just select our texture and then just draw with it. And then if I increase that stroke you'll notice that we can change how it looks and feels according to brushes in here. And so quite quickly you can achieve an more organic handmade look. However, there are more brushes available to you than just this list here, so this is just a very basic list. We can go into the little arrow at the top there, you'll see there's a little down arrow. Click that and you'll see there's a brush, open brush library option. If you go into artistic you'll see there's more options to do different textured brushes. So if we go into artistic ink you'll see we have some quite nice splatter brushes here. We can try those. It's more straightforward paint brushes, more inky type effects, and away you go. So there's lots of options there, and you can even make your own brushes, so you can scan and make things yourself and kind of do your own brush libraries, which a lot of people do. So there are lots of options for how this looks. Moving on then to the pen tool. This is a slightly different kettle of fish. So if I just delete these, do a comparison, you'll notice that with the pencil tool I can just draw freehand, but it's quite difficult, you'll find, to control the curve. So because it's a freehand tool it registers every kind of small nuance of your hand and it's quite difficult to control. The pen tool is designed in such a way that allows us to actually have control and make something that's more fluid. And the common mistake that people make when using it is that they use it like the pencil tool, and just try and draw with it and don't understand how it works. So I'll just demonstrate. So if I draw a circle quickly, you'll notice that how curves operate in Illustrator is that we have a path between very few anchor points. So to gain a circle shape, we have 4 anchor points that actually control that curve, and then at each anchor point we have a set of handles. And if you bear that in mind when you use the pen tool, you'll realise quite quickly how it works. So if we use the pen tool, what we're doing is we're setting a point. So if we click and drag, we're creating a handle that allows us to influence a curve. And let's just say we wanted to do a kind of wave shape. We'd have to imagine that the wave went up here and then came down all the way here, and so. So we'd go to the top of where the wave shape would be, click and drag another curve, and then imagine where it was going to go at the bottom, so down here somewhere, click and drag another curve, and then finishing up sort of here. Okay. And so as we looked at with the circle, fluid shapes are actually created via not many anchor points. So the fewer anchor points you have, the better flowing curve you have. And so the pen tool is great for actually creating things that have more of a flow. And once you get the hang of it, you can actually draw some quite nice sort of ergonomic shapes. And then if you wanted to, you can fill them in, etc., etc. So it takes a bit of doing the pen. It took me ages to get the hang of it myself, but keep going, and it will all fall into place, I'm sure.